because, you take on this character, people during this journey, they go, well, uh, they're telling me, do you know, what do you do this song, so and so, whatever the song is? I'm like, I'm sorry, man, I never even heard that song before. They go, how can you not know this
You're
song, man? You're
Freddie. What are you?
Freddie
You're Freddie Mercury. How do you not know your own song? Hello, Johnny Zatylny. I'm so happy to have you here today because as soon as you popped up on my LinkedIn feed, I'm like, stop, everyone stop. I ran to my husband. I'm like, I found Queen. He's alive. Freddie's alive. Oh my gosh, I'm such a fan of Queen. And especially like you said, like now there's a new wave, a new generation of kids watching the movie.
Yeah.
It's like you're famous for a whole nother 20 years.
Right.
Really.
Yeah, that's it. The kids have jumped on the bandwagon now.
And I just wanted to say that you are, from what I've seen, because I've done research on you, it seems like you're like the #1 impersonator, I would think.
Well, there's a few good ones out there.
Okay.
There's one in the UK. There's another one, actually in Montreal as well.
Mhm.
So there's a few out there that do it very well. But it's a challenge to take the show on, and it's not just having the front man as the key guy, but you have to have a great support system as a great band, and I'm very fortunate to have that here in Montreal with Queen Flash. I've worked with Mercury as well in Europe, and who has also is incredible group of guys. So I've been fortunate to work on both sides with a great band, and that makes a big difference.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
With the other impersonators, have you met them all at one point?
No, I've seen them a couple times, but I've never met them. It's sort of like, since when you're performing so often, you're just crisscrossing. You're doing different, and we never really have the time to get together. Some it might happen, but we're all busy, and we just, like the 2 years just before the pandemic, we were playing every weekend.
Wow.
We're in a different place, and so when you're busy like that, it's hard to have the time.
And you've been playing Freddie Mercury for 20 years now, 21 years.
Since 2000.
That's wild. Okay, so
And that all became by accident. That was all.
Yeah.
That wasn't even planned. That was all, like, it just fell into place because in '97 I moved to Los Angeles, and I started playing with this band called Dazed and Confused, and we were doing really well. We were playing the House of Blues, and we were doing all the clubs over LA. Problem is, when you're playing in LA, you can't really make money. It's like there's a million bands out there, and so the club owners know it, and so they'll just minimize your salary and you move on to the next gig or whatever. But then one day I was working at this, I had a job managing this cafe up in the Palisades, and in the newspaper one day it opened up and it said, "Can you sing like a star?" And I'm like, oh my God, yes I can, and I'm gonna give it a shot. So called the number, and they said, okay, send us your music, and if we like you, you'll have an audition. So I sent the music, and sure enough, a couple of weeks later, had an appointment to go in. I went into the room, and there's hundreds of people waiting outside. I sat there, and there was a guy in the middle. He had this long gray hair with these bare feet. I'm thinking, that's pretty weird. This guy's pretty comfortable in his position. And he had two assistants on each side. I didn't even know who this guy was until later. I found out that was Larry Klein, the producer of the American Music Awards at the time.
Whoa.
So I sat there, and he was very easygoing, and it was nice just to have a little chat with him. And then I sang this wonderful song by Bon Jovi, thinking that would be the right song to do for the show.
What song? Just so I know.
Always. So I sang it. I had my music with me, and it was just a little room. It was really, there wasn't much places. So I sang the song, and then he looks at me and he goes, "Thanks." And I'm thinking, thanks? That's the response I'm going to get, is thanks? And I felt really inside that it wasn't enough to really get me onto the show. So I don't know why, because I thought I did a pretty good job, but it just wasn't what he was looking for. So I stopped for a second, and internally I said to myself, I have to make a decision here, because if I walk out that door, it's over. I really felt like that was over. So I had to make a choice. I said, excuse me. I said, can I do another song? And he said, well, what else can you do? and I didn't even have a plan B. I didn't know what to say because I wasn't prepared for this second chance. So I don't know why, but Freddie Mercury came in my mind. And he says, I said, I can do Freddie Mercury. He says, you can do Freddie Mercury? I said, yeah. And then I started singing Bohemian Rhapsody a cappella. And his eyes just like lit up. And I thought, wow, now I got him, you know. Sure enough, after a few more auditions, I received a phone call from NBC Studios in Los Angeles saying, Mr. John Zatylny, congratulations, you're on the show. Wow. And so that just opened the gates, and that was it. You know, I started working in Europe for years. And
Do you feel in that moment when you were about to leave that room? Because a lot of the interviews I'm having, it's like that moment that like was that pivotal moment. It was that little flash, that gut instinct.
Yeah.
Did it feel like, because it is the make or break moment to propel you. So you listening to your gut to take that chance to be like, excuse me, let's do you remember how that moment felt?
Yeah, it felt like it had to be. You know what I mean? It just felt like I had to do this because the opportunity was so grand. And I said, you know what? I just need to do this. And you know, he felt it too, that I really wanted to this. You know, he could feel that I really wanted this. Maybe there'd be a lot of people who didn't really have the drive that I had, would probably just walk out the door and go, well, you know, I gave my shot. But I had this big drive since I started playing music as a teenager. That's all I wanted to do and succeed on that. So because you got that deep drive to go after it, you're always looking for another opportunity. You're always looking for that other opportunity that's going to propel you to that next level.
And how old were you when you did that one?
39.
You're 39. So basically you had been on the scene for a long time and you were waiting for your big break.
Yeah,
Like it was
no,
time.
I think, and I remember being in LA and I wasn't making much money and I was just doing my thing and I was playing clubs and working in this cafe. And I was like, I said, you know what? If this is what it is, then I'll accept that. You know, I'll just go on about my way because this is what I love to do, is to get on stage and perform. And if I'm going to do it and not make the money and not have the success that I had really dreamed of, that I wanted, well, I'll be okay with that. But, you know, I just kept going. And then all of a sudden, by keeping that fight, these opportunities come to you, you know, and if you keep driving, these opportunities are going to come, and they did. And I took advantage of that opportunity, and then boom. And then once that TV show was aired, that was it. The doors opened up.
So really, you didn't even have a plan to bring Freddie into your life. That song hit, and then they're like, "That's what you want. We want you to perform."
Well, you know, the thing is, I did the show, and then it was like, well, I said, you know what, that was pretty cool. I mean, you know, I really didn't know what to expect after the TV show. I didn't know if I was going to continue with it. But then I was contacted by this production in Germany, and they asked if I would go out there and work with them. And so I went out and not really willingly wanting to go there, but something said, Johnny, go, you know, you need to go. And so I went and spent a month there in Dresden, Germany. And I realized there was something there that was going to, you know, take off, you know, by putting our forces together out there, we were going to do something grand. Sure enough, 2 years later, after me staying there since 2000 to 2002, we started the very first Queen musical. Wow. And it was a big production. We had visuals, we had actors and dancers, we had massive lighting crew. It was just a huge production. And it went from city to city to city, and then it was from country to country to country. We were all over Europe with this thing, and it ran for like 4 years. So, you know, I would have never had that opportunity if I would have went to Europe. And then after doing that, I got involved with orchestra shows and playing in Russia, Singapore, Turkey, Ireland, and working with all these different orchestras. So from the musical to the orchestra show, and just the experience that I've had over the 20 years over there, it's been amazing, you know?
So all of a sudden you realize you're going to have to learn every Freddie song. Maybe you already knew it, but like you really had to dive deep into understanding him as a persona, as a character.
Yeah. And it came sort of natural for me because I had that, you know, I sort of had that instinct with me doing the songs, having that timbre in my voice, singing the Queen songs, actually even have some of the features. So, you know, I was just made for that character. You know, you're just built for that character. And so, and I've enjoyed it it's from day one, even till today. I'm enjoying it more than ever. I just, you know, people come to me and they say, "Oh my God, you've been doing this character for 20 years. And don't you get tired?" I said, "Absolutely not." I remember going on tour in Germany with the musical. We started a 72 city tour in over 3.5 months. That's almost playing almost every night. And this was big, you know? And so after it was, I said, before the tour started, I said, "You know what? I don't know if I'm going to be able to continue after 72 shows, but boy, that was just like, come on, bring it on. I'll do more. I can do this. It's just so much fun. The songs are so powerful, and it's just been a great run, you
And
know.
did you have a background in opera or anything musical
You
other
know,
than
much
playing
like,
bands?
you know what, like Freddie as well. I mean, he just took it on. And the thing is, when I started singing as a child, I knew there was something. I knew I had the voice. And you get this gift and you work with it. And the thing is, what happens is, as you keep on performing and performing and performing, your body is teaching you how to do it right without getting any instruction from anybody. Your body sort of says, "Hey, listen, this is the way to do it. Try breathing this way. Try doing it this way." You know, and by just continually playing and playing and playing, you sort of get that you evolve into a better singer. Even today, I'm still learning. You
Because
know,
really, Freddie is not the easiest one to pull off. Like the octave range, the
yeah,
stretch, like it is
yeah,
power.
yeah, yeah.
There's ballads, there's
Yeah, yeah,
high, there's low.
yeah, but you know, the thing is, I when I started doing rock songs in the '70s, it was in the '80s. They were like, you know, powerful
Yeah.
songs as well. They had the range that Queen had. So, you know, so I always had that range. It's just to bring along the timbre in the voice and the features. It
Right.
made for the right
So who
sound.
does your costumes? Because I'm gonna add
You
pictures.
know who does my costumes?
Tell me.
Well, I got one designer in Germany.
Uh-huh.
And then what I do, like if there's something that is not that difficult, I like to take care of them, you know? So
Wow.
like in one of my, like I have two jackets that I have, and actually I could pull one out if you want. Yeah, really?
Yeah,
Okay,
please.
give me a second. Okay.
Ooh. Play some Queen in the background, but then YouTube's gonna zing me, so I can't.
One
Okay.
here.
Yes.
That's pretty simple, no?
Yes.
What do you think?
That's cute. Okay.
And that's so Queen. And
That's
all this is a piece of plastic, you know,
yeah.
and I cut it to plastic and I just put the trace, the borders on. Oh, this needs a little bit fixing,
Is
but
that sparkles tape?
yeah, sparkle tape. And so something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's simple, you know. But I do have a white costume that I did get designed in Germany, and that was like, yeah, I mean I have to take,
Do
get
you
somebody
pull
to
from
do that.
actual pieces that he's worn? Do you try to like
I
replicate?
look at I look at certain videos, and I remember 2 years ago, we were I was introduced to this guy in Las Vegas, and he said, "Johnny, I just got you a show in Las Vegas at the Stardust for 6 months." So they were all on the way to get this whole tour going with our band in Canada, Queen Flash. And so as soon as I found that out, I called my designer in Germany. I said, "Listen, I need something grand." It was really, she really did a good job.
How come you never did play in Vegas? Like I feel like yeah, Britney's great, J-Lo's great, but to have Queen in Vegas,
I
like
don't
I
know.
would go see that.
Yeah, you know what? We were all ready to be matched up with the Michael Jackson show. They were going to do a Queen show and then a Michael Jackson show every night,
Yeah.
running at the Stardust. I don't know what happened. Something fell through at the very last days of signing this deal, and it didn't happen. But that's part of the business. But I know through experience that there's going to be other opportunities coming my way. So you don't take it so hard, you know.
So
You,
what came after Vegas?
oh, we signed a deal with Norwegian Breakaway. So yeah, we got on a cruise after that, and we ended up playing in the winter for like 3-4 weeks at a time on a cruise line. So I mean, all we had such an amazing time because it was going on to the ship, you're playing on this massive theater, and you're reaching out to all these people that are on holiday from all over the US. So what you're doing is you're creating a fan base. Your fan base is growing every time you play on the ship. And we played for 2 years, certain time frames, September and then December. And so it was not only fun and just a nice way to get away in the winter, but it was a great way to expand our fan base. And so I remember we played uh Chicago, I think, or somewhere in Chicago, and this girl comes up to me after the show, and she says, "You know what? This is the fifth time I seen you." I'm like, "Well, we only played here once." She goes, "But I saw you 4 times on the ship." So I was like, "Okay, now I get it."
So you do have a full-on fan
Yeah.
base.
So
It's amazing.
when we're on the ship, you meet people from everywhere, all over the states. I mean, Canada, all over. So that was a really good point about working on the ship. So everything's like, suspended right now. So we just gotta wait.
Just gotta wait. Um, how many songs do you end up singing a night?
So probably, well, the show that we're doing now, the most what we'll do is a 2-hour show. I think that's about 15 or 16 songs, I think,
Ooh.
like that.
And how do you choose your set? Do you switch it up?
Yeah. So I have a pattern in the show where you've got this wave of, hits and, dancing and slow and then up and down and then the big climax at the end. So it's got a nice wave to it. So we have a sort of set pattern of how the songs are going to be set in the show, and we'll take one or two out and make an adjustment here and there just to switch it up for ourselves.
And you've never taken any vocal lessons?
No.
Whoa, I'm like
Oh, wait a
blown away.
second.
Oh,
I'm a liar, because my grade one teacher, Sister Mary Madeleine, she had a
shout
little
out.
she had a little, what do you call those tuning buzz, and
Yeah,
I
yeah.
remember, and we were like, la. So when I was probably 6 years old,
But you know
I
what's
would.
funny? I was gonna say you have really good pitch because I was watching last night and I was like, whoa, like to hit, like you really hit it dead on.
Yeah. You
It's
know what?
impressive.
When you're playing music for like since since the late 70s, you gotta have your game on,
Were your
so
parents fans of Queen?
oh, you know what? They were just fans of what I was doing, because not only did I do Queen, but we had our own other band, Simon Says, here in Montreal, that was very successful. So they came out and they've always supported, and anywhere we went, because I played all over the place. So it gave them an opportunity to travel as well. They were all over the globe to see a show. So it
Whoa.
was nice for them to travel.
What do you do for voice care? Because I would think after that long set, a show, like, do you do anything to take care of your vocal cords?
The thing is, when you're doing it right, when you're singing correctly, you don't need anything. You
Um,
don't need anything.
so you're not like
You just
Celine
need
Dion where you like go off dairy and you don't like for
no,
months.
no. I'll just, the best medicine, and I've known it all the time, is
Mm,
rest.
yeah.
Get a good sleep, and if you've got to have it, if you're doing another show the next night, just take it easy and prepare yourself for the next one. If you don't, can have a drink after.
Yeah.
But if you do have a show the next day, you just be prepared and just go to bed early and get ready for the next one the next night.
When you get on stage, are you as an artist, or do you feel you transform and take on Freddie?
You know what, Julia? That's a good question. You know why?
Mm.
Because the way that I look at it is, when I get out there, there's a part of Freddie and there's a part of me. And we combine forces and we give this special character. There's a lot of things that I do on stage that Freddie probably would never do. Like, I'll just give goofy eyes to somebody for no reason. And I know Freddie wouldn't do that. Or just do certain movements or say certain things. But if you try and take on the character too much, then it's sort of fake, But if you can just bring yourself into the role as well, combining it with Mr. Mercury, then it makes it more genuine, I think.
Have you met any of his family members?
No, but I did get a chance when I was in the musical. They
Mhm.
they flew in myself to Munich where the musical was going to start, and they also flew in Mr. Freddie Mercury's personal assistant, Peter Freestone. So together they gave us a week in Munich, so I could just sort of get a feel for Freddie and stories about Freddie. So for the whole week, for Peter Freestone and myself, we walked the streets of Munich, and he said, "You know what, Johnny? That's where Freddie did his video. That's where Freddie lived. We used to go to this restaurant. He used to club at this place." And so the whole week talking about Freddie, it felt like Freddie was there. It felt like there was the three of us, because the stories were so intimate and just so personable, and it was just nice, and it just it gave me a little sense of getting into the role, I guess, a bit more. And when you're doing a musical, you really have to be in more character than you would do if you're just doing your own rock show, because you're sort of acting more in the musical.
Yeah.
you know
Oh my goodness, that's why. Okay, what is your favorite Freddie song?
they always change.
Mm.
So during the whole, journey, you get this song and then you get that song and you get this song. So when I started, it was a really, really beautiful song that I really enjoyed singing, just piano and voice. It's called "You Take My Breath Away," which is a beautiful song. Then I got into "In My Defense," which I loved. But if I take the whole scope of all the songs and the most favorable song of all, I would have to say "Somebody to Love." It's just a fun song. It's just everybody's just in a good feel. I mean, there's a lot of songs that it's the same way, but for me, it's just it's a fun song, like most of them are. But that was my
Do
favorite,
you
I
remember
guess.
the first time you heard a Queen song?
Yes, I do.
Mm.
I remember with my neighbor, and I remember I had the 45. I was a kid, and I called him over. I said, "Mark," I said, "come here." I said, "Check out this record. It's like rock with like an opera, and they're doing like all this crazy stuff." I said, "It's amazing." And I remember we listened to it. We're like, "Wow!" We're just blown away by how different it was. By how different it was that a song like that was what, 7 minutes long or whatever it was on a single, because it was unheard of back then, back in the middle of the 70s, that you would get a song that was on a 45 that played for like that long, and it was on the radio all the time. You know.
Yeah, it's a song. I feel like his music really resonates with all ages because it is art. I feel it's so art.
Yeah.
Like my mom doesn't
I
like
think
anything, and she's like, "What's that song with the opera, with the power, with the voice and the changing?"
yeah,
Like it's a story. It's beautiful.
yeah. And you know what? A lot of people don't recognize as powerful as Queen was, like what Freddie did outside of Queen, what Freddie did with Montserrat Caballé, you know, he worked with this wonderful soprano from Spain, and he took on this classical show, and a lot of people don't know the songs that he did with her. And
Yes,
I
so
was
I saw that and
yeah,
it blew my
yeah,
mind.
yeah, that is really a wonderful show to do when you're doing these songs that he did with the soprano.
Yes.
So I was fortunate enough to be part of that. I remember when the band in Europe gave me the game. I said, "What are we doing next?" He goes, "Well, we're going to do this," because they always tell me last what's going on. We're going to do this classical show. I'm like, "What do you mean classical show?" "Yeah, we're gonna do it with an orchestra." And I'm like, so I said, "How? What are you gonna do?" He goes, "We're gonna do the songs from Freddie and Montserrat." I said, "Who's Montserrat?" I didn't know anything about it.
Oh my
Then,
gosh, you
then,
did it?
then they put a song on the earphones,
Yeah.
and I listened to it. I said, "You're joking." I said, "You're kidding me," because they gave me a song called "Fallen Priest," and if you listen to the song "Fallen Priest"
Yeah.
by Freddie Mercury,
Yeah.
it's just incredible. It's just mind blowing how challenging it is for a vocalist to do.
How long does it take you to memorize a song? Like when they just throw something new at you?
It depends. It depends if you take to the song easily. But I found with working with the classical shows, it was more of the timing. Working with the orchestra, I was way off, and it took a few shows to really get a sense of the timing, to work with the orchestra and the timing. And so I was challenging. But you know what? I remember walking out there for the first time, and this massive orchestra, starting this whole production. And then you walk on and you start the show with this, incredible support system behind you, like a full orchestra. It's overwhelming. You know.
Where are the biggest Queen fans?
Wow. It's hard to say because there's pockets of them everywhere, you know?
You can give me your top three. I'm
Yeah.
curious. Like that you felt
You know
like the
what?
energy was just like, oh.
Oh, yeah. Germany, they're, Denmark, Holland. Uh, yeah, I think probably and around those in Europe is the strongest fan base, you know? I mean, I've noticed now since the movies come out that the Americans have taken it on a lot more as as before, is because of the notoriety of the movie, and now the kids coming on board and everybody's just but I would say, yeah, I mean, I've played to like up to 12, 15,000 in Sweden and in Denmark and in Holland, but Germany, yeah, yeah, look at Brazil. I mean, they played in South America too, which was huge. So there's been enormous crowds all over the world for Queen.
Where would you like, okay, so after pandemic, which we're all like on pause, but do you have something planned? Is there something lined up?
Well, yeah, we our Canadian show here was doing really well before it all fell to pieces. I mean, we had shows scheduled for Washington and New Jersey and New York and Philadelphia. We had Pittsburgh. We had a whole set of shows lined up in the States last year. Fortunate for us, we were able to get our P2 visas, which allows us to work in the States. So 3 years ago, we got this visa, and so it just opened up a new market for us. So we're looking forward to going back there and reaching out to different markets, something that's new to us, because we've done a lot of the every year that bubble keeps expanding to a bigger area. We've already been to like Albuquerque, New Mexico. We've been in Miami. We've played in New York, Broadway. We've done a lot of the cities in the States. So we're just trying to expand ourselves.
Is it the same band members or do they
Oh yeah,
change?
yeah. It's all the same band members. Queen Flash, yeah.
Is Queen Flash the same group of guys who were with you when you were playing at House of Blues, or this is
No,
when you
no. So when I started my music back in the late 70s, early 80s here in Montreal, so there's a couple of members that I worked with back then who are with me now at the Queen show. The guys that I work with in LA are all from LA.
Okay. And what's the most difficult Queen song to sing?
Ooh, you know what? I think for me, it's sometimes it's like maybe the show must go on. It's the last song of the show, and it's up there.
Oh.
But it's challenging. That's a challenging song.
Are you ever nervous when you bring in a new Queen song and you have to sing live in front of like 1,000 people and you're like, oh?
No, because you know what? The band is so good. The musicians that I have are so good that you're so comfortable with them.
So you've never flubbed a word or?
Oh, it happens. It happens. For sure. Yeah, it happens.
Just going to a dance break.
It's part of doing a live show. You're gonna make flubs and stuff.
Yeah, but you're a professional.
It's part of it's part of doing live shows.
That's right. So where do you see yourself in 10 years from now?
Wow.
Sorry.
I might still be doing this.
I hope you are.
The thing is, for me, I'm since this pandemic, my top priority was just keeping in shape and staying fit, and so I've taken this time to just get out there and cycle and run, skate, walk, and just be ready for when it's time to be back on the stage again. And we have been fortunate. We have still been playing. 2 weeks ago, we played in Quebec City. March 11th, we're back there again. And then April 15th. So we've been really fortunate to just keep this show moving along.
Right. Would you ever consider doing, it's so funny because I just had an interview a few days ago and I was like, you should do the behind the scenes. I've always been fascinated by the making of, like, playing Queen, the behind the scenes story of Johnny.
Yeah, you know what? It's a good idea. It would be nice. It would be nice to do something like that for our promo, even if we're doing a video or something to show beside behind the scenes. It's a great idea.
That's a show in itself, I find, because
Yeah,
I'm a former dancer, and I always found the fascinating
yeah,
aspect of it was all the
exactly.
chaos right before it's go time.
And you know what? That's what people want to see.
They do.
They want to see what's going on behind the scenes.
Listen, I'm just saying, Playing Queen, HBO, NBC, let's pick this party up for Johnny, please. Because that would be a great one to see. Also, if you were to pick one person you'd want to meet that you haven't met yet, who would that be?
You know what? I've when I first started singing, and I remember I would sit upstairs and I would have the stereo system on, and I had Elton John's greatest hits, and I remember just playing it over and over. So I'd probably say Elton John. I'd like to meet him because I was so he was so influential when I was a kid, and I listened to all his songs,
That's
you know,
amazing.
and I sang to his songs over and over and over again. So yeah, maybe Elton. That's probably one of them. Yeah.
And what would you tell your 15-year-old self today?
Good job. Good job.
That's so lovely.
Yeah.
Oh, it doesn't get better than that.
Yeah.
It's amazing to see how really, when you find your passion, there is no such thing as a no. Like you said, you just keep
Exactly.
working at it. You just keep
Yeah,
going.
that's so totally it. You know, you come to a fork and you're like, well, for me, there is really no fork because there's only one way, and there was so many roadblocks. You know, there was so many times where it was like, I mean, even when I was in LA, I was there for 3 years, and even working at the cafe and doing the shows, it was a struggle. Like, I mean, it was a struggle just to keep paying my rent and doing things I needed to do to keep going. And at the end, it was funny because was I felt defeated because I was not gaining any ground. I was actually losing ground. And I was like, then I lost one of the jobs that I had at the end. And I remember I was at a bus bench. I didn't have a car, so I took buses everywhere. Imagine in LA taking a bus.
Yeah, no, it's
Jeez.
not funny.
So, I mean, I was sitting there, I'm like, I put my hands up. I'm like, oh man, come on. Are you kidding me? It's like, I'm like, done all I can, like, help me out here, somebody.
Ah,
And sure enough, a couple of weeks later, I opened up the newspaper and boom, TV show. Yeah.
it's like
But
that
that's
moment when you ask for help.
perseverance. You just persevere, and it's not easy because there's a lot of times they're saying, hey, you know what, maybe not, like somebody's going, let's see how strong you want this, let's see how much of a fight you want to put up to get this.
Right.
Yeah.
But also, I think that fight like makes you better. So you get
Yeah.
to that point.
Yeah.
You're like, now I actually can break through. You have to
you
put
know
the work in too.
yeah, but when you're so when you feel like this is the only way, this is all I wanted to do. And so, like I said before, when it was like, well, if this is the way it is, I'll just continue, because even if it's a fight, this is what I love to do. And so I will continue that. And like, I remember hearing so many celebrities and so many people in the past going, you know what, if you persevere, it's going to happen. I'm like, bullshit, because I've been down that road and it's not happening. And I'm like 38 years old. So it was like, really, but now I can say,
Yeah.
you're right.
Wow.
You're right. If you do persevere, it will happen.